Well, a happy Thursday morning to everybody. And this is another edition, number 50.
Is that right?
50
Stop.
of Elevating You, Reaching Your Peak. Kraig Kann, Mike Mooney, Jill Bauer back with us today. And good to be with everybody. Yes. Can you guys believe 50 episodes, Mooney?
Wow.
The brain trust that was you and I, which, took about, 5 minutes of time to try to come up with something. Here we are. This is pretty cool. Jill, how you doing?
Awesome.
I'm good. Good morning, guys. Nice to see both of you this morning. Congratulations. I've only been here for a few of these 50 episodes, but that's awesome.
Now, again, don't we get syndication after 50? Isn't that how
right?
you're TV people? You guys know this.
Right.
I don't.
I've been talking with Lifetime, right? Hallmark, and a couple of other channels as well. So it's very cool, very good. All right, full disclosure to everybody today. This one is going to be full go. Let it rip. 30 minutes. Mike Mooney, very busy man. Keynote speaker yesterday, knocked it out of the park in Asheville, North Carolina. Jill Bauer, hanging out with Hoda Kotb and the gang at the Today Show. A lot going on. And so we're going to get this thing moving. Are you guys ready? I'm excited about today. We've never done it this fast and this furious, but that's what we're going to do. So with that, Elevating You rolls on. I want to remind everybody, and this is important, as you'll see in a little bit, because we're taking one comment, one question from our audience each and every week. And we have a repeat customer today from our tribe, if you will, our band of friends. And we need to spread the wealth a little bit. Okay. So your questions, your comments, Kann Advisory Facebook page, post them right here. I saw somebody last week say, where do I post it? And I guess I'm not delivering the message well enough. But you can post it right here on the Facebook page. Mike Mooney sees that every day. He looks at it at night. He carries it with him. I think in the middle of his keynote speech yesterday, he actually checked his phone to see if anybody had said anything about anything he said last week. So that's kind of how it works. You can also email info@kannadvisory.com. It jumps right into my inbox and I will see it. So what we want is we want your topics that we should discuss on the program. That's the goal. And with that, a little reminder about what we talked about last week, which was your fourth quarter finish, the things that you could do to wrap up the year strong. That was our focus. And I'm not going to remind everybody of the things that we put there. We just basically had a discussion last week. And so with that, Mike, I'm going to, since you're you were the closer, right, of the keynote yesterday, you'll be the opener today. You can be the opener today with, how to close the year strong.
Yeah. So then, and that's great. I would. It's an honor to open for the two of you. All right, is all I'll say. So highlight of my day for sure. So what we were landing on is for closing the year strong, looking at that sort of last lap of the race, so to speak, was really this idea of focusing in on a couple of key priorities, right? Looking at a couple of key impact areas that we can take the time to reflect in and figure out, okay, what do I need to do to get this across the finish line? And mainly thinking about those impact points that are going to help not only the business and your team, but also those areas that you as an individual are being graded upon, right, by those above you as well.
Very good. I would actually say, and Jill, you can go wherever you want on this. I would actually, as well, to what Mike said, I'd go, all right, so it's January the 5th. Don't worry about January the 1st. Nobody does anything on January the 1st. But let's say everybody's going back to work on the 5th and you're going back to work. What will make you the happiest, most energized about going back to work on the 5th? What would be the one thing that you could accomplish now that will be done, complete, and ready to go? For me, it might be, a new social media platform, a new, way of doing Elevating You. It could be my website being refreshed or something like that I jump into 2022 with something new. So I start with that and then I go, okay, now I got to work backwards. I've got today's September the 16th. So I have, roughly three months. So I got some work to do. Now, how do I schedule that around the other things? That's how I would do it if I was planning. Jill, what's your take?
Yeah, I was kind of along the same lines, Kraig. I think people are like, oh my gosh, I have so much I have to get done before the end of the year. But really what you should be thinking about is what you're doing before the end of the year is creating that momentum so that you're heading into the new year in a really good place, right?
Yep.
So, anything that you can do to, finish strong, this is what all the preparation, and we've talked about that a lot over the course of the last, 9 months, like be prepared, reach out, support yourself with the right people, be the one who's willing to take the lead on things. All of those things that you've been doing, that's what's giving you the momentum to get to the end of the year. And then those projects and extra things that you're setting up, that's what's going to give you the momentum once January gets here.
Yeah, I love that point, Jill, about momentum, because it is often underrated, yet it's one of the most powerful resources that are there. It's at our disposal, right? But it takes us stepping in every day and being intentional with what's that one thing that I can be doing to help create that momentum. It's sort of like we've talked about this before, the gradually then suddenly, type of moment, that the momentum is built gradually and suddenly you're like, oh my gosh, where did this come from? All this is happening. Well, it happened because 4 months ago, you started doing something intentionally and consistently.
Right.
And the other thing too is oftentimes we don't have control of other people's schedules either, and they're busy. And so it can't wait until November 12th. It can't wait until December 3rd. A lot of people check out, and that's just the way it is, So you want to try to get things moving now. So try to push yourself to hit those target goals and get them in the hopper before the end of September. What are there? 30 days in September? I don't know how many days
there are 30 days.
Okay, thank you. Yes. All right, so
April,
I got
June,
that
and November.
Wow. Okay. That's impressive. Very impressive. Okay. So that's what we talked about last week. I think it's a fun and exciting topic. It builds momentum, and it tied into football too, which I kind of liked. So fourth quarter finish, and now today's topic, which is very similar in that I'm bringing the football and tie into it because we're trying to get ideas over the goal line. Now, everybody gets labeled certain things. By the way, what it takes and what it can lead to, those ideas. And that's important. What it takes to get it across the goal line and what it can lead to if you get your ideas over the goal line. That's what we're talking about. I have been labeled, and I actually enjoy this label. I've had it said to me by more than a few people that one guy said an ideas factory, you're an ideas guy. I carry a little in my backpack when I travel. I carry a little notebook that's about this big. And when I come up with an idea, I write it down because I'll never remember it the same way, So I think that's important if your mind goes like that. Like I don't wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and write stuff down, but I do have thoughts that go through my head. Now, the challenge is, okay, if you've got 10 ideas, how do you take the best 2 that you really feel confident in and work to push those forward? And then the other thing is the question, how do we get them across the finish line? How do we do that? So number one for me, and Jill, I'll let you go second here. Number one for me is assessing why is that funny?
I don't know. It's just funny the way you said that. Like, Jill, I'll let you go second. Okay, here we go. Sorry, it just made me laugh. I said that was just
Mike,
for me.
I'm going to let you be the closer later today because you're so good at it from yesterday. So the idea that we put down, you got to assess it. You got to understand, is this true to who I am and what I want to do? If I'm working for a company, is this idea that I have something that's aligned with the goals of the organization or the department? Does it fit my skill set where I can actually lead the way, and it's part of my strengths? And is it something that will energize other people? So I think it's important to assess the idea first and the merits of it and what it will do. Think about the outcome, like what will happen if this succeeds? And some of the ideas might not come up with the best outcome. You're like, maybe that one's not the best one, but this one really could get people excited. Like this will be a game changer for everybody. Yeah. And then I work my way backward and I start strategizing. How am I going to put this thing together? Who's going to be involved with me? And I think at that point, you can really get people excited. So those are some of the thoughts off the top of my head that I have about ideas, Jill.
Well, I would say too, when you're assessing that idea, you have to really ask yourself, why am I believing in this? What is it about this idea that has sparked this like interest and this desire to take it to the next level? Like, why am I jazzed about it? Or what do I see in it? And then how do I, share that with other people? Just a quick story. And I've told this way back when I first came aboard with you guys. When I was at QVC, I was a little bored with what I was doing very early on, like 3 o'clock in the morning, selling a 3-hour quilt show kind of was exhausting to me.
I'm looking for a quilt actually for the guest room.
Yeah,
so if you know of any that you still have in storage, please. Okay, go ahead.
So I started like tying the idea of the quilt into the room, right? Like, so if you had this quilt, this would be really good if you have whitewash furniture. And then I would put a lamp in there. And I was doing it more for myself. But that kind of concept started to propel to me like, I could do a home show and walk around and help people decorate with these items that we're talking about. And that's kind of how the Your Home with Jill show, which was on the air at QVC for 19 years, the longest running show with the same host, came to be. I had to pitch it for 3 years, you guys. 3 years I had to pitch it before they signed off on it. They made me do it in front of a test audience to see if the customers would even respond. And in the end, we put it on the air. And it changed the way QVC started presenting products. It was no longer just a host standing there in front of a table with a quilt. Now it was, let's show the bedroom. Let's show what it looks like. Let's make it more interactive. So I'm sharing all of that because it started with this idea that I had. And I believed in it and I saw it and I understood it could be more engaging for our audience. I understood it was a new way to do things, but I had a lot of challenges to keep getting it there, but I understood my why. And so I kept putting it out there and I kept talking to people about it and I kept coming back with more information. And finally, it was like, and I had to put up with the doubters too, right? But I didn't let that deter me. I kept believing in it. And, lo and behold, I got the shot. And 19 years later, I signed off.
That's
like
cool.
Seinfeld. We were still.
That's very cool.
So I mean, I think that's what it has to be. You have to start with like, what is your why, and why are you jazzed about it? And then from there, now how can I bring everybody else on board with this vision?
Well, Mike, one thing that maybe you can address here is I think there are probably some people in our audience who are saying, that's all great. I've had a lot of ideas, but nobody seems to take me seriously. Or I feel like I don't have the position within the organization where they're going to listen to me. I might have the greatest idea, but I'm stuck in my cubicle or at home and nobody's really paying attention to me. So what would you say to all that?
Well, you're screwed. Just give it up. Forget it. Kidding. Totally kidding.
All right, Jill, back to you. Let's go back to the QVC store. There's a lot more.
I'm the closer. I'm the closer. No, I'm totally messing with you. You know that. I'm just a little having some fun with you. No, I think where I would go with that is we have to remember that having an idea is not enough. And you heard Kraig, in your example of you're talking about how got to make sure it aligns with the company needs, and Jill, you talked about how look, you had to like bring this to life in a way and then keep pitching it. So what comes to mind for me, regardless of where you are, your position, if you have an idea that aligns with the company and the values, the mission of your team, whatever it might be, we have to remember that we still have to sell that idea. We're salespeople. Just having the idea is not enough. And I can tell you from my experience in professional motorsports, where we were selling the idea of sponsorships, or when I was at the race team, we're selling ideas on how to deliver more value to our sponsors. And what I would do in those cases is, I'd have the nugget or the kernel of the idea and then build it out. But then I would it's almost like storyboarding. I would put the idea in the middle of the page and then I'd make the spoken wheel and I would put one spoke that had, okay, so how does this positively impact our business? And I'd lay out all those points. Who's going to need to be involved in this? And what are their roles going to be? Okay, great. What's the outcome and benefit going to be to the organization as a result? So as I went through this and put all of those spokes around it, it allowed me to not only with confidence know what data, as you were saying, Jill, like the information you had to bring back and keep, refining it. I knew what information I had to get to then sell the idea and bring it to life in a visual way that the people that were on the team could say, oh, I get it. I see how it works for us. I see my role in it. And then ultimately the benefit of what the idea is going to be. Now, if you can answer those questions and do it from that perspective with confidence, I don't care what level you're at, you could and should be able to stand in front of people and say, here's my contribution and how I want to make this team and organization better.
So one thing, I go back to my time with the LPGA, and let's be real. It's not the PGA Tour, which draws attention all the time.
Yeah, but don't diminish it. I mean,
I get it. I get it. It's a niche sport first and foremost, right? So, I'm looking at ESPN.com on the top of the storylines today, and the Brooks Koepka story, and Paul Azinger telling him, hey, why don't you go sit your butt down at home if you're not into the Ryder Cup, and which was my big topic last night on the air. Is top of the tree on the stories today. Okay. It takes a lot. My point is, it takes a lot for the LPGA to find its way there. All right. That's just what it is. It's like, Power 5 versus Group 5, if we're talking college football, or, your big time College World Series versus the NAIA or something. So my point being that when I thought about ideas, and I spent a lot of time, we all did, trying to go, how are we going to build the brand? How are we going to raise awareness? How are we going to get more media attention? All those types of things. We couldn't wait for people to take notice of us. Yeah. We had to generate ideas that would make people take notice of us. Yeah. What are things that are going to make people open their eyes and say, wow, I'm going to give that a little bit of my attention when I might not have before. So to me, ideas have to be something that generate a lot of excitement for other people, not just yourself, and that you believe can do something for the organization. Maybe it's a product, maybe it's a new brand that the company is, putting out there, whatever it might be. That's going to get people, excited in that way. I think that's important to consider.
Yeah, and along those lines too, Kraig, is sometimes we can get really attached to the ideas, because they've come from a place. Maybe it's in our heart, maybe it was in a moment of inspiration. Maybe we don't get ideas all that often, and when we have them, we want to share it, right? And this is what it's got to be. I've always found that when I've had success in pitching ideas internally or externally, is to come across as a almost like, hey, what if we did this? Because that allows you to be open to somebody collaborating, right? Because I love the what if, and what if we did this? And Jill, what do you think from your side? What could we add to this? So now you're sort of building consensus around the group, but now it's not just your idea, you're building something that brings people into it as well. So I think there are a couple of, I share that only to say that there are different paths to get to the end goal of having your idea received well and getting the buy-in that you're looking for.
The idea might be the what, Jill, but what you're looking for is the wow. So how do we take the what and create the wow that gets people to go, I'm all into that. Let's because you want other people, you're only as good as the others around you taking it with you, word of mouth marketing, whatever it might be, correct?
Yeah. And I think, sometimes you come into a situation and your idea is similar to somebody else's idea who pitched it once and nobody bought it, right? So I think a lot of times you have to think of it as, well, we're all eating the same meal, but I'm going to serve it on a better plate.
Yeah.
And so it's, right.
That's great. That's a great way to put it.
That's what your Home with Jill was. I was still selling tons of product. I was selling the same product that might have been in a show 2 days before. But
hey, I was selling quilts last week. I just didn't do it well, apparently, because nobody knows about it. I mean, I was outside. I had a bunch of quilts that were in my
here's the problem. You're selling quilts in Florida. I mean, come on.
Yeah, right.
Come on.
Disconnect. Good job.
Know your market.
But I think it's that idea of, you might have something similar in your idea or passion that you're wanting to put out there that other people have tried, but how are you going to serve it up to them differently? Like, what's your take? What's the spin? What's your hook? And how is that going to be received by everybody else? How can you bring them into something that they feel like they've seen before?
Here's the thing. Mike did a keynote speech yesterday, probably around reputation. Mike's not the only guy that speaks about reputation. I'm not the only guy that travels and talks about building a brand new you, or talks about the power of being a true presenter, or getting people's attention. I'm not the only guy that ever wrote a book that has that stuff. A lot of people are doing the same thing, talking about the same thing. It's, to your point, Jill, how do you present it differently and more uniquely? And what's your story behind it that you can get people excited about it? And they say, wow, this one's different. This one's better. This one's whatever. That's what we have to try to do. Any comments coming in there, Mike, that you've seen?
Well, it's just flattery for Jill, quite here.
What else is new?
Right. No, so Anne was very sweet. She said, Jill, you were a pioneer in changing the landscape of presenting a product into presenting a lifestyle. I think that's really interesting in the choice of words there. And I think it's very apropos, from the idea of selling something to actually looking at it from a lifestyle perspective. Actually, there was one of the messages that I had brought to life yesterday was the idea of going from the transactional to the relational, right? Going from a service provider in a transaction to being a thought leader in a relationship, right? There's a distinction between the two there that we should be mindful of, like what you were doing, Jill, of saying, well, I could sit up here and I can hawk quilts all night, or I can really show how they apply in someone's life and how they make their life look better, their home look better.
Exactly. And then you look at now, just playing off of this example, but then you look at how things are changing in the landscape of social selling, right? And now
absolutely.
like that's what people are doing, right? That's what it's kind of taken on a whole new dimension, which is an exciting challenge for me in this phase of my life and my business, where I have this little shop, and now I have more products to talk about. Like, how am I going to do it different this time?
Right.
Because I know I can't do it the old way. I've got to reinvent it again. But again, that same passion is still there, so it's exciting.
All right, Mike, you got to hold on, Mike, because this is really today, whether you realize it or not, today is kind of all about you, because you're the one with the big time crunch, and I want to make sure that we get through all of this. So again, folks, questions and comments can come right here, Kann Advisory Facebook page, and email info@Kann Advisory. So now we do this each and every week. We're trying to anyway. We want to take somebody's topic, somebody's thought that they post on the Facebook page right here, right now. If you want us to talk about something next week, put it down right now. Yeah. Now is the time, so we can see that. Mike will see it. He'll send it to me. I see it, whatever, and it gives us the topics. Here we go. This was among those that came into me last week. I like this one, and Anne, a repeat customer. All right. This question right here. Yeah, she's great. How can we start thinking of our jobs or current career paths as brands, and we as brand ambassadors rather than workers, or I would say employees? It's funny that she says it like that, because in my Elevate workshop that I do, I tell people at the very beginning, I want you to leave here not as an employee, but as an ambassador of your own brand and the brand of the organization and its products or value propositions. And that's what I coach during the day. And we go through all these exercises, and they learn how to present the best of themselves. So how can we start thinking of our jobs or current career paths as brands? All right. So Jill Bauer is doing what she's doing. The brand Just Jill. All right, interesting. But let's say you work for an organization. How do you start thinking of that job that you have, the business card that you have, whatever it might be, as a brand? Jill, you first.
Well, I think one thing that's important, at least this is what just popped into my head, is you have to know more about what's going on within the organization than just what you do. It's important for you to understand other facets. It's important for you to get information about upcoming projects. It's important for you to, understand, where are there shifts in the culture of the company. Like, all of those things are important, so that every time that you're speaking with somebody, you're representing the brand of the company as well as yourself, right? Because you are the brand for the company, and then the company's brand is part of you too. So there is a little bit of synergy there. I think it starts with really knowing everything that's going on. Just a quick example, like the work that I do with the Property Brothers, I'm their brand ambassador. I'm their national brand ambassador. So, I need to know everything that's sort of going on from the projects they're doing, not just on TV, their philanthropic work. They're really into sustainability and the environment, all of those different things, so that over the course of different conversations, I can be representative of those ideas and concepts on their behalf.
That's a good thought right there. I think if you're at work, first and foremost, the work you do is a brand. It speaks to who you are, what you do, what you stand for. So the consistency with which you deliver your work, what that work is it the same? Are you known for something within the organization? You might be the most technologically savvy. You might be the best presenter in the group. You might be the best salesperson in the group. You start to establish things like that. Likewise, when you go in for your review at the end of the year and they're saying, hey, what are you going to bring to the table in 2022? Start focusing on things that you would like to be attached, that people will talk about or think about instantly when they think, okay, Mike Mooney, what do I think about when I think of him? Oh, I think about this, 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 and this. That's your brand. It's not when you're in the room. It's when other people are talking about you when you're not there, Mike.
Yeah, for me, I'll go a little bit lower on the foundational level from my perspective on where this comes from, because everything that you're saying, I agree with 1,000%, both what you and Jill had said. But for me, at a core level, it comes down to actually believing in the organization that you're working with. And the idea that you are actually committed to what it is that they're doing, not just involved. So a lot of people out there, they've got a foot in the door in their cube or in their office and a foot out, and they're not involved. I think you've got to be all in to what the company and organization is doing and actually believe in it, so that you yourself can believe in it, and it's going to show in your work and your commitment and what you put forth. And that is, in my opinion, like a radical shift in the way that you look at your role of, am I just on the hamster wheel? And is it a transaction? Am I just a worker bee? Or am I actually part of this brand and building it at a higher level by knowing what's happening around me, by knowing, my purpose and the mission?
No, that's great. That's really good. So you kind of see, everybody, what Ann put there, and I think it's a great question. I think it's a great topic and something that we can address. Again, I remind you that we'd like your thoughts as well. That's what we're aiming for, and we'd like more of them rather than less of them. Here's what we're going to talk about the next time we get together, and that is this topic here: selling the best of you, going from we like you to we want to buy from you. All right. Now, you all can say, well, I'm not in sales. I disagree. We are all in sales. Every single one of us is in sales. The minute I get off of this platform today, I've got work to do that is going to be about selling my organization, me, all of that stuff. Who do I align with? What do I do? What's my value? Selling the best of you, going from, we like you, to, man, we need what you have. We want to buy you. And I think that's going to be a really fun topic. Plus, we'll take your topic as well, the best of the best, and we'll do that next week. With that, I told you this was going to be fast and furious today. I'm keeping Mike Mooney on time. He's got something really big going at 9:31 Eastern. So time to allow everybody to give a closing thought. Jill, I'm going to let you go first. I'll go second, and the closer, Mike Mooney, will go third. Okay. So anything on your mind that you'd like to share with folks?
Well, I'll keep it really quick, because I want to make sure Mike's on time. But, I think, when I look back at what we've done for the last few months, you guys, we've really been here to encourage you, to let you know that, it is possible to be engaged, be a brand ambassador, take those ideas and finish your year strong. So I hope everybody is taking these little nuggets and putting them all together in a great recipe, because I feel like what we've been able to do for you is really set you up for success heading into the final quarter of the year.
There you go. I'll say this. I got an email from somebody that's one of our regulars here on this program. And it's actually the first one where somebody said, you know what, really might need some help with this. How could you help me? How could your organization help me? And now it may work, it may not work. It may be the right fit. I'm never one to say that my organization or the people that I work with are the perfect fit for something. I might actually pass it to somebody else that I know that's in my network. But what I would say to that is that's really cool. And to all of you out there, all we're looking to do that would be the coolest thing in 2022 is for Mike Mooney, he could be the closer, Jill and myself, to find our way to your organization to do something for your, not employees or workers, as Ann said, but for your ambassadors, and help take you to the next level. Could be a webinar, could be in person. Love to see it happen. It would be a lot of fun for us to travel. Now, I don't know if Jill would have the time, but I know Mooney and I could get there.
I'll make the time.
Okay. Yeah. She might bring some quilts as well for everybody. And that would be pretty cool. All right, Mike, final word coming from you today, my friend. Let it rip.
The final word for me, as we've been talking about the topic and obviously getting into the wrapping up the year, is one word: courage. You know, it takes courage to get to the next level. If we're talking about elevating you and all the messaging here and how we can sharpen the saw and reach the peak, as we like to say, it takes courage to step into it, to have a vision of yourself that you may not think that you're ready for yet, but you see it. So take that step, whether it's in, a new skill, whether it's selling an idea, have the courage to step into it because you're willing to put the work into it. You're committed to doing the work. Yeah. So I would just leave you with that courage. Step into it.
Yesterday, I got a text message from a former Major League Baseball player who won a World Series. And he is flying today to deliver a speech tonight. He's being honored in Detroit. And he said, I need a little help. I don't even know where to start. What should I do? I've got X amount of time. And I said, you know what? Tell your story, not just the successes that you had, but the failures as well. Success is not just all that we accomplish. It's also what we survive. And those are the things that define us and make us relatable to other people. So to all of you out there, when you have your next opportunity in front of any audience, I want you to think about just doing you. The more you share, the bigger your brand becomes. The less you share, the more anonymous it shall always remain.
Wow.
Use that word that Mike just said: courage, confidence, all of that. Hey, it's been great today. It was fast. It was fun. Mike, all the best today to you.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody.
Jill, have a great one. This is episode 50 of Elevating You, Reaching Your Peak. Kraig Kann, Mike Mooney, Jill Bauer. Brand new inspiring career conversation each and every week to grow you. Thanks so much for the time. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your Thursday and week and weekend. Take care. We'll talk again.